Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars, and let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today, starting on this 1 day time frame, because right now Bitcoin is flashing a warning signal here on this 1 day time frame. However, before I continue with the analysis, I am not going to make this some kind of super emotional video where I say that we should all be fearful, and this is also not one of those videos where we simply say that we are going to $150,000 by December. What I'm going to do in this video is give you the unbiased technical analysis on the higher and the lower time frames, and after that you can make up your own mind on what you think is going to happen next. So here we go. Right now on this 2 day time frame, you can see that we are actually still inside this big level of support. So while every man and his dog right now are saying that we are going to 90,000 US dollars, they are actually saying this before we have seen a technical breakdown below this 107k level, meaning that they are not basing it off of a break of a level of support. They are just saying this so you watch their next video tomorrow. Now, the point of invalidation for me to expect any kind of bounce here is going to be this 107k level. If we start breaking down below here on the 2 day time frame specifically, then I can start looking for lower price action after that and for liquidity to be grabbed here. However, as you may notice here as well, this will take another 28 hours before we actually can confirm that this level of support is being broken. Now, while I understand that this may be frustrating to have to wait another 28 hours to get a proper answer, unfortunately, this is simply how it works with technical analysis. We need to get proper confirmation before we can technically confirm what is actually going on, instead of just saying that we are going lower or just saying that we are going higher. Things like candle closes actually do matter in this market. In terms of support to the downside though, that is sitting from 107 all the way down to 105k, and below that the next level of support is sitting from 103 all the way down to 101.5k. Next, if I take a look at this 4-hour time frame for Bitcoin, then you can clearly see here that we are still in a downtrend. So we broke this ascending trend line here. This is of course a warning signal. After that, we started chopping sideways just a little bit, actually creating this descending trend line as well, this descending line of resistance. We broke below this horizontal resistance, another warning signal, and then we broke below this long-term ascending trend line here, which is indeed another warning signal. This, of course, all preceded that flash crash that we saw about a week ago, but since then, we've basically chopped sideways and it created another descending line of resistance, which we are currently rejecting off of. In fact, you can see another beautiful part of technical analysis here on the 2-hour time frame, because if you just take this Fibonacci retracement, you can see that we beautifully retraced to this Fibonacci golden pocket sitting at around 112k and rejected from there, and ever since then we've seen nothing but bearish momentum here on the lower time frames. So this is of course a risky time to be looking for any kind of like long position or anything like that, because there aren't any clear reversal signals at the moment on these lower time frames. For example, if you get a lower low like this, you typically would look for some kind of bullish divergence to be forming, where we are getting higher lows in the RSI momentum indicator and lower lows in the Bitcoin price, which is of course a bullish divergence. But in this case, we are making lower lows in the RSI momentum indicator as well, meaning that there is no divergence at the moment. And that also means there is not any kind of reversal signal or weakening of the bearish momentum at the moment. So before we can start getting more bullish on this lower time frame, we would need to see at least, guys, some kind of break of this descending trend line here, sitting at around 110.5k at the moment. However, while I am leaning more bearish in the short term, I am actually going to wait with flipping much more bearish on this 2 day time frame. I am genuinely going to wait for confirmation, even while everyone else is saying that we are going much lower, because I am only following the technical analysis and not the market sentiment of the day. In fact, some of you guys who followed me in 2024, this is exactly how we traded through this 9-month descending channel and longed the lows over and over again and shorted the highs over and over again, even while the whole market was very bullish at the tops right here and then was flipping very bearish exactly at the lows here over and over again. And this is in fact exactly what put my channel on the map, because we were doing this so well. So now coming back to this 2-day range that we are currently in, yes, there is a sentiment extreme of literally every man and his dog being extremely bearish at the moment, especially after this flash crash. However, I need to see proper confirmation of a 2-day candle close below 107K before I am flipping more bearish on Bitcoin from this point onward, even while I am still bearish on the lower time frames at the moment, considering that I haven't seen a reversal signal on this lower time frame yet. Next, moving on to the Bitcoin ETF flow tables. Yesterday we saw another net outflow of about $100 million in a single day of trading. Now, this isn't a major outflow here, so I'm not going to put too much emphasis on this. And you can see that right here, the Bitcoin ETFs are basically flip-flopping between being bullish one day and being bearish the next day. There isn't any major kind of trend that we can spot right here. So therefore, we are just going to check back in with this tomorrow and see if we can make a bit more sense of this Bitcoin ETF flow table data. Now, lastly, moving on to this Bitcoin liquidation heat map. First of all, on this 48-hour time frame, right here, there is still some liquidity exactly at this 107K level, so potentially that could get swept here in the short term. However, most of the liquidity on this lower time frame is to the upside, currently sitting at about 112.3K. Now, in the case that you don't know, guys, typically the Bitcoin price gets attracted to where there is the most liquidity on this chart. So right now, most of the liquidity is to the upside. However, we are in a technical downtrend on the lower time frames right now, meaning that we first need to look towards this downside liquidity being grabbed. Currently, like I said, at around 107K, at the very least, until we actually break this downtrend on the lower time frames. After that, then we can start looking for some potential liquidity to the upside being grabbed, for example, at this 111 or even 112K level. Same thing here on the 2-week time frame. There is still some liquidity, again, at that same 107K level, but most of the liquidity is to the upside right now. So if we start breaking this a little bit higher time frame, like for example, this 4-hour time frame descending trend line that I showed you, after that, we can start looking for more liquidity to the upside being grabbed, even as high as 116,000, but there's also liquidity at 113.6K. Now, lastly, if I zoom out all the way to the 1-year time frame right now, and I will keep saying this over and over again until my base case is invalidated, which is that so long as we have not seen a 2-day candle close below this 107K level, I am just assuming that we are first going to take out this 126K level. Now, if we get a candle close below 107K, guys, then from that point onward, I will start looking for this liquidity to the downside to be grabbed, for example, at around 98K, but currently we haven't seen that technical breakdown yet. So to summarize here, right now on the lower time frames, guys, it's still looking very bearish. Bitcoin is just in a technical downtrend at the moment. We do have this bullish divergence here, but this could get invalidated very easily if we get a breakdown below 107.5K. Either way, this 4-hour time frame is just in a technical downtrend as well, trading below this descending trend line. The 1-day time frame is flashing a warning signal here and will likely confirm in about 3 hours. However, on this 2-day time frame, I am just going to be a bit more patient and wait for another 28 hours to properly confirm that we are indeed breaking down, or if we are just getting a huge bounce off of this level of support here. But either way, this has been today's market update. I quickly wanted to welcome all the new people who joined the channel yesterday. It was very surprising how many people actually subscribed, so welcome to all of you guys. If you have any questions for me, feel free to let me know in the comments below this video. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel with notifications on so you do not miss any of these important update videos. But regardless, if you do end up turning on notifications or not, thank you for watching once again, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.